Hello bankers, a very good evening to all of you. Welcome back. So welcome to JIIB CIB Prep. I hope you guys are doing well with your exam preparation. So guys, in this particular session, we are going to discuss our unit number 13, which is all about law of demand and supply, right? So we just started with our module B and we have done with unit number 12. So today we are going to talk around core economic concept, which is supply and demand, and law of demand and law of supply and equilibrium, right? So these are the course content, very important unit because this will help you to build your understanding for unit number 15 also, theories of interest, as well as like you'll definitely see one or two question for 2 marks. Downside 2 marks question you are going to face from based on this, and downside 2 to 3 marks question based on theories of interest, right? So overall, like these two units, if you combine, so you'll see 4 to 5 marks question based on these ones. So very important one, law of supply and law of demand. So the demand schedule, which is demand curve, diminishing marginal utility concept, forces behind demand curve, shift in demand, and the supply curve, then forces behind supply curve, shift in supply, equilibrium. Then we have effect of a shift in supply or demand curve, then changes in price and quantity, right? So these are the course content, and every subtopic is important, and we are going to discuss all these particular subtopics in detail. So we'll try to build our understanding around these particular one. They are very important one for your upcoming examination, and you have to be very careful around this particular unit, right? So first we will be discussing the core concept, then we will be practicing PYQs as well as expected questions from this particular one. So let's start the session with the demand curve or demand schedule. So when it comes to the demand schedule, it is all about the relationship between price and quantity, right? So the basic crux of demand and supply is, so demand, which is get decided, or the deciding factors are consumers. When it comes to supply, so the deciding elements or the decision maker is basically sellers or the enterprise or the businesses. Okay? So basically it is a general tendency, as a consumer we want to buy things at a lower price. So that means if the prices will come down, there will be more demands for the the quantity demanded will be at higher side, and they have like vice versa. If the prices will go up, so quantity demanded will be at lower side. When it comes to the supply side or the supply schedule or the supply curve or the law of supply, so sellers, they want to sell their goods at a higher price. That means at higher price they want to sell more quantity, and at a lower price they want to sell less quantity. So the point where demand schedule cross the supply schedule, that point is known as equilibrium, and that is the market price, right? So this is the around like the core of this particular unit. Now the factors which generally affect demand curve and supply curve, so these are some areas which we are going to understand in this one. So we will start our discussion with the demand curve. So when it comes to demand curve, so it is like, let's say this is the prices and this is quantity demanded. So if price will be at, so assume that this is this is the first level, this is second level, this is third level. So let's say it is 100, it is assume it is 50, and it is 10. So if price will be 100, so the quantity demanded will be at lesser side. Okay, so these are the quantity demanded. So if the price is 100, so we'll demand less quantity. If price is 50, so this will be the demand. And if this the price is 10, the quantity demanded will be at higher side. So this slope, when it comes to the demand curve, so demand curve which generally move from left to rightwards downwards. Take left to right downwards. So that means if demand curve is moving left to right downwards, that means there is a more demands from the customer side. And how this demand drive or how this curve move, so there is a relation between price and quantity demanded. So that means if the price is at higher side, So the quantity demanded will be at lesser side again. So this is the first one. And if the prices will be at lesser side, so the quantity demanded will be at higher side. So this is the basic logic behind this one. Very simple one. This we generally follow this particular one on our daily basis, right? So a demand schedule is a table that shows the quantity of a particular goods or services that consumers are willing to buy at various prices during a specific period of time, right? So as like at this they want to buy less, at this they want to buy more, right? So it illustrates the relationship between price of product and quantity demanded. So the law of demand, which is something, so as the price of goods or services increase, as the price of uh, goods and services increase, the quantity demanded will decrease or vice versa. Vice versa means as the prices will decrease, quantity will increase. So this is the simple relation between your demand, the relationship between prices and a quantity demanded, and that is generally known as law of demand. It is called law of demand. So this is the one. So let's say there is a commodity whose if the prices is 500, quantity demanded is 9. If the prices is 100, quantity demanded is 220, right? So 100, 200, 300, 400, 500. This is the price and this is quantity demanded, right? So if price is 500, we have only like the demand is 9. This is the point again. And if prices are 100, the quantity demanded is 20. So this relationship is generally known as law of demand. Very simple one. Everybody know about this particular one. You just have to make crystal like clarity around this particular one. Okay? So you should not have any sort of confusion, because when you'll see the statement based question, you have to apply these particular one. And very simple, believe me, like once we're done with the concept part, once we'll follow the practice and all or PYQs, you will be able to answer all those particular one, right? So now factor determining this slope. Okay, why this slope move downwards right side. Okay. So the demand curve is a fundamental concept in economics that illustrate the relationship between prices of goods and quantity demanded. The slope and position of the demand curve are influenced by several factors. Okay. So now like what is the situation where this demand curve will move like this will move downwards, right side downwards. If it is moving right side downwards, that means there is the quantity demanded is increasing, or there is a high demand for that goods and services. Now or if it is moving to the opposite direction, आपका left towards upper side, so that means there is a less demand. So what are the factors which generally affect the overall market demand? So these are the factors. So one by one, price of goods. So now we all know about this particular one. Price of goods means when the price of goods, so see, if there is a high price, if prices will be higher, the quantity demanded will be lower. So that is the plain that is the law of demand. Okay? And vice versa, the price, when prices will come down, the quantity demanded will increase. So first thing, very simple one. Another one is income of consumers. Okay? So when it comes to income of consumers, so when income of consumer will increase, the quantity demanded will also increase. This is also known as income effect, right? So this is the relationship. So let's say if you are earning 1 lakh rupees, after your increment, let's assume you are earning 1 lakh 30,000. So you are earning 30,000 additional. So what you will do, you will create more and more demands for your needs and wants, right? So that means the quantity demanded will increase in the market itself. The third one is price of related goods. Now we have two type of goods. One is substitute goods, another one is complementary goods. So when it comes to like we have two type of goods. Okay? So substitute goods, when it comes to substitute goods. Okay? So substitute goods means which is a kind of replacement. Okay? Let's say for tea we have coffee. So now like when prices of substitute goods will increase, the quantity demanded for your goods commodity will increase. Okay? So how this relation will work? Let's say our good is we are selling tea in the market, and when the prices of coffee will increase, so some people, to right now, those who are consuming coffee, they'll shift to the tea itself. So the other relation is when prices of substitute goods will decrease, so some people from tea, they'll shift to coffee. So that means when prices of substitute goods will decrease, the quantity demanded will also decrease. The another one is complementary. So when it comes to complementary goods, so in this particular case, when prices of complementary goods will increase, the quantity demanded will decrease. Complementary goods like bread and butter, right? So if prices of butter will increase, people will consume less bread. Or it is cars and petrol. So if prices of petrol will increase, people will buy less number of cars. So when prices of complementary goods increase, quantity demanded will decrease. Or when prices of complementary goods decrease, quantity demanded will increase. Like let's say if petrol become 50 rupees per liter, people will buy more and more cars. So that is the relation between these two. I hope this is clear. We'll be discussing all these in detail, but first let's make a basic understanding around these particular one. Taste and preferences. So taste and preferences of consumers. So if their taste and preferences is changing, there will be low demands, right? If they are like, let's say, and this happens so many times in today's world, where taste and preferences of people, they generally change from one product to another, right? Like in case of music industry or film industry or even something else also, right? So if people taste fashion related products and all, so if people taste and preferences are changing from one product to another, so for demand for your product will decrease in the market itself. Number of buyers, if number of buyers will increase, your quantity demanded will also increase. If number of buyers, this is something related to population. If population will increase, your demand will increase. Like country like India, government policies and regulations, sometimes government policies and regulation which also affect your demand, positive side as well as negative side. Let's say government imposing some sort of taxes on your product, so it will become costlier, so the prices will go up, people will demand less, or vice versa. Seasonal factors, there are some seasonal goods like in winters there is a more and more demand for tea and coffee. In summers there is a more and more demand for cold drinks and any other soft drinks. So right, that is the one. So this is the one. So these are the factors which generally affect our demand curve, right? So here we have the detailed explanation also. Increase in income for normal goods. When consumers income rise, they can afford to buy more, as I gave you your example. Increase in population, more buyer lead to more demands. So next, taste and preferences. If a goods become more popular or fashionable, demand may increase, or vice versa, right? Next one, expectations of future price increase. This is something speculation about the commodity also. This happens so many times, right? So like it can be due to stock holdings. Like sometime it happened for onion and tomatoes now. Suddenly the prices increased to from 30 rupees to 300. The reason is stock holdings and all. Okay. So when we have expectation, like let's say in case of gold also. So if you have expectations ki the gold prices will go in next 5 years 2 lakh rupees. Right now it is 1 lakh per 10 gram. So what people will do, they'll purchase gold, more and more gold, because they have expectation that prices will increase. Even in case of shares also, if you think this company share price will increase, you'll buy more shares, so that demand will increase, that will lead to the prices, right? So if people expect prices arise in future, they might buy more. Decrease in price of complementary goods, complementary and substitute. So when it comes to complementary, that butter and bread, or that diesel or petrol and cars, right? So if the prices of goods that is used together with the product decrease, people will buy more. If petrol prices will become 50, people buy more cars, right? In case of substitute goods, when it comes to substitute goods, if the prices of substitute goods increase, so people or consumers may buy more of this product instead, right? So as I gave you an example of tea and coffee, let's say the tea prices are 10 rupees, coffee prices are 20 rupees. If coffee 15 rupees, let's assume, if coffee prices become 15 to 20 rupees, so there are some consumers, those who right now consuming coffee, they'll shift to tea instead of going for that 20 rupees. So that is something which is part of this one. And it will have reverse effect also. If the prices of substitute goods will decrease, that if it become 15 to 10, there are people, it will affect your demand for your products at lower side, because the quantity demanded for coffee will increase, because there are many people who will shift from tea to coffee. That is the one. So these are the factors which generally affect our demand schedule. Hope this is clear to everyone. This is something which is very, very important one, because one question you guys are going to face around this particular one. Mostly that question will be a statement in nature, right? Next one. Now, this is something again very important one. Okay. So, shift in demand and expectations of exceptions of law of demands. Okay. So, few things we have already discussed, but there are other goods also. Again, so we will discuss this one. So, a shift in demand happen when factor other than price influence the quantity demanded. This include changes in income. This we have discussed. Preferences, external economic conditions. For example, during economic growth, people may demand more for automobile even if prices remain constant, right? When average income increase, income effect, it is called income effect. Okay. Consumers can afford to buy more goods and services. This result in rightward shift. That means the demand is increasing, meaning higher demands at every price level. The economic boom in 2006-8 in India saw a rise in car demands due to increase in income. Then we have some good types also. Again, Veblen goods. Veblen goods are luxury goods. They are symbol of status. So if the prices of iPhone is increasing, it is not going to affect their demands. The prices of iPhone is increasing, people are buying more and more iPhones. Prices of BMW or any other cars, any other luxury cars, or any other luxury houses and all, if they are increasing, that demand will also increase, because they are symbol. So law of demand, that does not apply on these particular. These are the exceptions of this law of demands, right? So such luxury brands do not follow the law of demand. Instead, their demand rise as their prices increase, because they are seen as status symbol, right? So this is the one. The contradict the statement that they experience reduced demand when their prices decrease. If the prices of that Mercedes will decrease, people will move out from that one, because it now everybody will have the Mercedes. So that is, there is no symbol in that particular one. So that is the basic economics which generally applies here. So that's why they never keep they always keep their prices, and they build their product for a specific segments. Okay? So that is the logic. Giffen goods, these are like the normal goods, like salt or any other products. Their prices, they do follow this demands. So unlike normal goods, shown a rise in demand when their prices increase. It is like if prices of salt will increase, people won't stop eating salt, they'll consume that particular one. So their consumption will increase, or even their demands will be remain stag, or it will start increasing. People start storing those particular one. So again, the exceptions of the demand curve. Okay. These are typically inferior goods that low income consumers rely on, such as staple foods. When their prices rise, people reduce consumption of more expensive substitute and buy more of cheaper staple instead, right? Necessary goods, again exceptions, similar, जैसे आपका curd or milk or others, salt and others, like medicines and basic food staples, do not see the demand fluctuation due to price changes. Regardless of cost, people continue to buy them. Government often intervenes to keep their prices stable, to protect the consumer also. Changes in income effect can alter the purchasing behaviors, leading to the deviations from law of demands. Higher income may encourage more spending despite rising prices, while the lower income can cause people in delay purchase even if prices drop, right? So this is something. So this is a kind of a summary which you have to remember. Please go through these particular one, do revise these particular one. Believe me, if you have understood all these particular one, you are good to go for this particular topic, right? Now, supply curve. So, demand schedule, hope this is clear to everyone. Now, the other one is supply schedule. Supply curve, when it comes to supply curve, so the curve which how we design this particular one thing. So, it is like, let's say, it is something like this. It is upwards. So, this is your supply curve. Okay? So, this is your supply curve. It generally move upwards. So, basically, this is price and this is quantity demanded. So, sellers, they want to sell their product higher quantity at a higher price. They want to sell less at a lesser price. Okay, let's say the price is 500, so they want to sell more. If the price is 100, they want to sell less. So that is the logic. Okay? So demand curve, which is from the consumer side, and supply curve, which is from the supplier side, seller side, right? So as a being a seller, being a owner of that particular product, or you always want to sell your product at higher price. So this is the basic theory, right? So that means the relation is when it comes to the law of supply. So your law of supply is the price of goods and services increase, the quantity supplied increase. Okay? So if prices, the quantity supplies increase, where they are increasing their supply, when they are getting higher price, and the quantity supply by the seller will be decrease when the price of the goods and services will decrease. At lower price, they want to sell less. At, like, let's say you own 100 kg of gold, so now you want to sell that particular one at highest price, right? That is your psychology, because you are a seller, you are a owner of that particular product. You want to sell less at a lower price. So that is basic demand law of supply. So a supply schedule is a table that shows the quantity of a goods or service that producers are willing to sell at a various price during the specific period, and this various pricing is at lower price you want to sell, or you want to sell lower quantity of goods. At higher price you want to sell at higher price of goods, right? So this is the chart which will help you to make your understanding. Like, let's say quantity supplied, so 500 max at 18, we want to sell 18 quantities. At 100 we want to sell minimum, that is 8, okay, as a supplier. So 100 we want to sell how much, aapka 8. So this is the one, this D point is here. So you want to sell the 8 at this particular one, at the 100, at sorry, uh, it should be like this. It should be, let's say it is 10. Okay? There is wrong in this one. Okay? So at this point you want to sell 10. Okay? This is the one. At 500 points you want to sell max aapka, that is 18. Okay? So let's say it is 18. So you want to sell this one. So this is the psychology of the sellers, and that is generally, that psychology is called your law of supply. Now again, same thing, same. So when it comes to the forces behind the supply curve, so these are the forces. So the supply curve in economics illustrate the relationship between the price of goods and quantity supplied. So when it comes to the law of demand, it is relationship between price and quantities demanded. It is price and quantity supplied, right? So that is the one, right? So various factor or forces which influence the position and slope of supply curve, like price of goods. If the price will be higher, the supply will be at higher. So this is the logic here. In that case, there is a reverse rule. If the price will be higher, quantity demanded will be lower, right? Cost of production, if cost of production will be higher, the supply cost will be at higher, obviously. Okay? So the price of related goods also, okay? So complementary as well as your the substitute goods, okay? Number of sellers, if there will be more number of sellers, the prices will come, the supply will be less. The government policies and natural events and conditions, where we generally do some sort of, people they generally demand or they generally start storing things and all, that will the one. Cost of production, if the cost of production will increase, it should be decrease. आपका quantity demand supply should be decrease. आपको why it is decrease? Because the cost will increase at higher price. ठीक है, so people will you have to build the relation between demand and supply both. ठीक है, customer seller want to supply more quantity, but consumers want to buy that lower one, so you have to follow that equilibrium also. We'll come to that one. ठीक है, so equilibriums. So now equilibriums, price and quantity. So this is the point where basically demand and supply curve, they generally interact with each other. Intersection point aapka, this is the one. Okay? So basically in real market, how we decide the prices. So first I'll quickly revise this one. So law of supply, which is from supplier side. Supply they want to sell their product at higher prices. Okay? This is the basically representation of your law of supply. If prices are higher, we are selling more, we are selling or supplying, we are supplying more quantity. If prices are lower, we are supplying less number of quantity. Factors, we have price of goods, like higher price, we want to supply more. Cost of production, if it is cost of production is high, we want to sell product at higher price. Okay? And if it is low, we want to sell at lower price. Okay? That was the correct one that you have to interpret in raise one. Okay? Price of related goods, sometimes it also affect our decision making. Let's say if we have related goods like complementary goods, if they are increasing their prices, so we can also increase. If they are decreasing, we have to decrease. Okay? In case of that the other goods of that complementary and I just missed this one. Okay? So basically the substitute goods aapka, okay? So substitute goods also. Okay? So you have to take care around that one. Government policies also for some specific goods where government have some sort of control ki you cannot sell these kind of products more than that, like especially in case of necessity goods and all. Okay? So that is something. And even sometimes taxes in others, like we have TCS or cess on some products after a certain pricing and also, you have to consider that one also, right? So this is the one. Okay, chal. Now equilibrium. So when it comes to the equilibrium, so this is the point where your supply curve, sorry, your demand curve will generally interact with your supply curve. Okay? So that is the point. So this is the surplus, this is आपका shortage. Okay? So this shortage and surplus will be adjusted through this. Let's say like to first one is, let's say this is demand curve. So customer, they want to sell this marker at 500 rupees. So they want to sell it at 500. So there are very less number of buyers. Let's say there is very less number of buyers, 10. If they want to sell this particular one at 200, there are 100 buyers. So this is the point, 200 आपका. So now supply curve, when it comes to supply curve, so supply curve move upward, rightward upward. So if you want to sell your product at 500, there are, you want to sell more at this particular point. Let's say you want to sell 100 here, and customers at 200, there are customers, those who want to buy 10 rupee, 10 or any other quantity, okay? So now, like if you, this is the case of surplus, this is a case of shortage, right? So like if let's say there is a buyer in the market, they want to purchase your product, but they want to purchase it at 200, but you are telling ki you want to sell it at 500, right? So there is no match. So then there will some sort of negotiation will happen between like with the market factors. That negotiation point, earlier it was in surplus and this was in deficit, shortage aapka, because we want to sell it 500 but there is no buyers. So the point where buyer and seller meet their expectations with each others, this is the point where seller want to sell that product at this price and buyer want to buy that particular product at that same price. That is, in this case, we have some sort of surplus or we have some sort of shortage. So this point when these two are agreeing, to buy or sell the same product at same price in a given time duration, that is generally known as equilibrium, right? So equilibrium in the context of supply and demand refer to a state where the quantity of goods or services that buyer are willing to and able to purchase. Willingness, they do have willingness, they want to purchase that particular market at 200, and they have ability to purchase that particular, they do have income level, so they can meet those particular expectations. Seller, they have willing to sell that particular product at 200, and within that 200 they are able to manage their cost and everything, so that is ability, so that more is required, that equal the quantity that seller are willing and able to say sell that particular one. So at this point, the market is considered to be a balance, and there is no tendency for the price to change. So this is the point. After the negotiation between surplus and shortage, we reach to this particular point itself. So equilibrium price and quantity. So equilibrium price, the price at which quantity demanded equal to quantity supplied, and quantity that both supplied and demanded at the equilibrium price. So that cross point. So that is generally known as your equilibrium point itself. Okay? What are the reason uh, why this demand curve moved to the rightwards or leftwards? Okay? So that is given here. So these are some like kind of additional readings which will help you to make your understanding more stronger, right? So factors that make production more efficient, or sorry, supply curves. So when, what are the reasons, or what are the scenarios when that supply curve move to the rightwards or leftward? Okay. So factors that make production more efficient or less costly, like technological upgradation, such as technological advancement, usually lead to an increase in supply at every price level. Let's say earlier we were using old methods, and to produce one marker, the cost is 100 rupees. After a technological advancement, now we can produce this marker at 50 rupees. So our profit margin get increased. Like earlier we were selling at 120 rupees. Now our profit margin was 20 rupees, but now if we can produce that particular one at 50 rupees, that there is a gap of 70 rupees. So we would like to sell more so we can generate more and more profit. So that is the one. This caused the supply curve to shift to the right, indicating the producers are willing to supply more quantity at the same price at 120, because now our profit margin increased from 20 to 70. That is the one. When it shift to the leftward shift means where the quantity supplies is decreasing. In this particular case, quantity supply is increasing. Here we are decreasing the supply because it is increasing the cost. It may be due to the government taxes or any other factor, increase in production cost and others. So factors that make production more difficult or costly, such as government regulation or taxes, typically reduce the quantity supplied at each price level. This caused the supply curve to shift to the left, reflecting a decrease in supply for the same point. Let's say that 120 was the price. Earlier, our profit margin was 20 rupees. Now, government increased additional, they put additional 5 rupees taxes. So, your profit margin came down to 15 rupees. Now, you have 2 point, either you want to sell at 125 to maintain that 20 rupees profit margin, or else you want to sell less at 120 rupees. So that is the logic behind this. This chart should be before that equilibrium points, but still I hope this is clear to everyone, right? So let's summarize this particular one again. So demands, supply and market equilibrium. These are the 3 pointers. This unit is very, very important, especially for unit 15 also, because while you decide the interest, where we have the same thing. Supply of money which is created by the investors, they want to invest at higher side, and demand which is made by the borrowers, corporate borrowers or individual borrowers, they want to take loan at a lower rate. So when we decide this interest, so that demand curve or आपका supply schedule and the equilibrium will be the point where we will be deciding the rate of interest. And for monetary and fiscal policy, for overall money supply, we have IS and LM curve, right? So So that's why to understand that one, this is very important one. Huh? So price demand relationship, there is a direct link between goods prices and the quantity demanded, represented by the demand curve. So if prices will increase, quantity demanded will decrease. If price will decrease, quantity demanded will increase. So law of price, law of demand, as price increase, demand decrease, or vice versa. Market demand curve, it is derived by the adding individual demand at each level. Shift in demand, changes in non-price factors like income, taste, shift the demand curve, affecting the demand at every price. If income will increase, demand will increase. If taste and preferences, if your product become trending, so they'll purchase more on this. Apart from this, we have income effect, we have substitute effect, we have complementary effect, we have government regulations and others. Supply curve, which shows sellers, they want to sell their product at higher price. So if higher price, more quantity will be supplied. If lower price, less quantity will be supplied. So it shows relationship between commodities price and quantity producers are willing to supply. So when non-price factors like input cost, technology changes, it cause the supply curve to shift. Like if input cost will decrease, technological advancement will happen. So you will be able to produce goods or services at a lower cost. So you want to sell more quantity at that market price, right? So that is the one, because your market, your overall profit will increase. Market equilibrium occurs when demand equal to supply. So that intersection point is called equilibrium. Equilibrium in competitive market found at intersection of demand and supply curve, ensuring full satisfaction for both buyer and sellers. So ability to sell, ability and willingness to sell, ability and willingness to buy. That is the point. So where they are, both the parties having maximum satisfaction. Impact of changes and any change in underlying supply or demand factors result in shift in supply curve. So like it can be income, price, substitution, or others effect. Okay. Shift in curve, and after market equilibrium, price and quantity also, that will also change, right? So this is the one. So at demand curve, there will be a movement in demand curve and supply curve. There will be simultaneously a movement in the equilibrium price also. So that is called market factors. If demand and supply, if demand is increasing or supply is decreasing, obviously the prices will go up. If demand is decreasing, so that means supply will also decrease, so prices will come down. So that is something, that is the logic behind this particular one, right? Chalo. Now first we are going to practice our Macmillan question. So demand schedule, a relationship between demand and quantity bought, relationship between price and quantity bought. So it is price and quantity when it comes to demand schedule. Market demand curve obey the law of downward sloping, law of downward sloping, law of upward sloping, law of diminishing. So market demand curve obey law of diminishing, it is called. So it is rightward downwards, but it is law of diminishing. Law of diminishing is something with every quantity, user or consumers, they'll have less satisfaction. Like let's say if you are hungry, if you eat one chapati, your satisfaction level will be at peak. Then again second chapati, third chapati, simultaneously your with your additional consumption, your like satisfaction level will decrease. So that is called law of diminishing, right? Forces behind the demand curve, expectations about the future income, yes. Average income, cost of production. Okay. Forces behind the demand curve, expectation about the future income. Average income, if average income will increase, if it is the option. Cost of production is something related to supply. So both A and B, if this is increase, okay. If it is stag, so there is no impact. A downward sloping demands curve relate quantity demanded. So downward sloping demand curve. So the quantity demanded is increase. Sorry. A downward sloping demand curve relate quantity demands, supply, price, a downward sloping demand curve relate quantity demanded to price. It should be price and quantity demands, we have simple saying, okay? So if it is coming downward, that means the prices is coming down, right? Shift in supply means when changes in factors other than goods own price effect in quantity supplied. Shift in supply when changes in goods own prices affect the quantity supplied. So both will be right answer. The equilibrium price is also known as market price. Then we have forces behind the supply curve. Forces behind the supply curve, cost of production, technological advancement, government policies, all are the right one. Supply curve relate quantity supplied to prices. So prices again, quantity supplied to prices. If we'll have higher prices, we'll supply more. If we'll have lower prices, we'll supply more less, right? Market equilibriums comes at a price at which quantity demanded equal to quantity supplied. Okay? So that means option B will be right answer for this particular one. Okay? So now some PYQs and some expected questions also. So which of the following statement about the law of demands are correct? Very simple question. I hope everybody will be able to answer this. So when the prices of commodity rise, other factor remaining constant, the quantity demanded will decrease. So if prices is increasing, quantity demanded will decrease. Law of supply, 100% true. The substitution effect, substitute goods means like petrol and cars. So when consumer replace a costlier goods with a cheaper alternatives, or that tea or coffee, it can be true. The income effect implies that as a price of goods rise, consumer feel wealthier and increase their consumption. This is wrong, right? So when as a normal, like let's say if there is an inflation in the market, we feel poorer, not richer, right? So if the prices of normal goods and services increase, consumer, because their income level is fixed, that is not changing simultaneously, so we will feel poorer in that situation. That's why it is wrong. So 1 and 2 means option A will be correct answer for this one. So statement 3 was incorrect. The income effect state that as prices rise, consumer feel poorer, not wealthier. Next one. Which of the following statement about market demand and law of diminishing marginal utility? Law of diminishing marginal utility means with every additional unit, your satisfaction level will come down. As I gave you an example of chapati. So you have to find out the incorrect statement, right? So market demand is obtained by summing the quantity demanded by all individual at each price level. True. The market demand curve slope upward. No, it slope downward. It slope downward. Again, so this is wrong. The combined effect of the substitution and all, right? According to the law of diminishing marginal utility, each additional unit consumed provide more satisfaction. No, it should be less satisfaction. Another chapati you'll eat, you'll have less satisfaction. So this is also wrong. So you have to find out incorrect statement means 2 and 3. 2 and 3 means option B will be right answer for this one. So statement 2 was incorrect. The demand curve sloped downward, and third one was incorrect. According to law of diminishing marginal utility, each additional unit provide less satisfaction than the previous one. So this is the logic. Next one. Which of the following statement about the factor influencing market demand are correct? So factor influencing market demands. This was the question, guys. Okay. So this type of question get asked so many times from last. If you go through the last 3 years now, since 2023 onwards, so they keep asking these kind of questions. One question for 2 marks, or small question with 2 or 3 statement for 1 marks. So an increase in consumers' average income generally lead to higher demand for goods even the prices remain unchanged. True, this is income effect. The demanded the demand for goods is independent of the population size. No, this is wrong. Why this is wrong? As population will increase, quantity demanded will also increase. So this is wrong. The price and availability of substitute goods significantly affect the demand for commodity. Yes, substitution effect. Cultural, historical, and psychological factor can influence the consumer taste and preferences. True. An external factor like income, population, consumers, preferences change. The demand curve remain unchanged. No, demand curve change according to these particular one. This is also wrong. So 134. 134 means 134. 1 3. What we have to find out? Factor influencing, correct. So 2 is the demand for goods independent of population size. No, this is wrong. 1 is correct. Increase in change average income generally lead to higher demands. This is also correct. 1 3. We do not have 1 3. I guess there is some problem with this options, these options. So it is given C. C means we'll check this one. 1 2 3. 2 is wrong. Yeah, it should be mentioned here. C. 2 is wrong. 2 is wrong. The population size affect the market demand. Larger the population generally lead to higher demand. So it is explanation wise it is correct, but this is wrong. So this is wrong. So 134. 134. Now it is correct, right? So statement 5 is also incorrect. Changes in external factor cause shift in the demand curve also, right? So this is the one. Next one. Ramesh owned a grocery store in a small town. He noticed that the demand for apple in his store fluctuate based on prices change. When he sell 500 per box, the manager to sell he managed to sell 9 boxes per day. However, when he reduced the prices to 400, this demand increased to 10 boxes. The to further attract customer, he dropped the prices to 300 per box, leading to demand to 12 boxes per day. Observing this trend, Ramesh realized that as he reduced the price, the quantity of apple sold increased. So it is law of demand. It's a very simple question, but this type of question also you'll get in your examination. They'll give you a story based on that particular one. They'll ask you the question. Simple question will be there, and it will be for 1 marks most of the time, guys. Please मतलब ऐसे questions को ना like you do not have to take lightly. Definitely you'll see the questions around these particular one also, right? Next one. Which of the following statement about shift in demand and expectation exceptions to the law of demand are correct? So a shift in demand occur when factors other than prices of goods influence the quantity demanded. Yes. An increase in average income can lead to rightward shift in the demand curve for automobiles or for any other goods and services. True. Veblen goods, luxury goods, follow the law of demand strictly. No, they doesn't. They do not follow those particular one, right? As I gave an example of Mercedes or Apple phone in others. Giffen goods are inferior goods that see an increase in demand when the prices increase. True, because these are kind of necessity goods and all. Necessity goods and the service do not follow the law of demands because people continue to purchase them regardless of the prices, like salt, like packet foods. Changes in income level can lead to exceptions in the law of demands affecting consumer purchasing power. Changes in income level. Okay. Changes in income level can lead to exceptions in the law of demands. It can be right. Okay. So 1 2 4 1 2 4 5 6. 1 2 not 3, not 3, no, not 1 2 4. So 1 2 4 5 6. D should be right answer for this one, right? So when it comes to the which statement was wrong here, statement 3, and we have discussed this particular one earlier also, right? So change in income which will make an impact on overall demand also. Now question related to supply. So supply schedule are correct. So you have to find out the correct statement regarding the supply schedule. The supply schedule shows the relationship between market price of goods and quantity supplied, keeping other factor constant. True. An increase in price of goods lead to an increase in quantity supplied. True. The supply curve for goods is downward sloping. No, it is upward sloping when it comes to supply curve, right? So this is wrong. So 1 and 2 means option A will be correct answer. Very simple question. Next one. So this is the supply curve which we have discussed earlier. Which of the following statement about market supply is are correct? Technological advancement reduce production cost and increase supply. True. An increase in input price such as labor or energy lead to higher supply. No, this is wrong. If the cost will increase, so they do not want to sell more quantity at the same price, they want to increase the prices itself. Okay, so it will lead to higher supply in the market. No, this is wrong. Government policies such as taxes and regulations can impact the total supply of goods. Yes. So 1 and 3, what we have to find out correct. So correct means option C will be right answer. So statement 2 was incorrect because an increase in input price rise up production cost leading to lower supply, right? So this is the one. Next one. If a new technology reduce the labor requirement to manufacture automobiles, what is likely impact on the supply curve? So supply curve shift to the left, unchanged. Supply curve shift to the right, right upwards. So it will move to right upwards. So C will be right answer, right? So because they'll be able to sell product at a with a higher margin, higher profit margin and all, right? Next one. Which of the these all are half marks question. Which of the following condition must hold true for an equilibrium price to be stable? If price is above equilibrium, a shortage, a surplus will be there. If below, there will be a shortage. If I hope you remember that like equilibrium curve was like this. Okay? So this is your demand curve, this is your supply curve. Okay? So this is your surplus and this is your shortage. This is your shortage. So this is the point where आपका both are agreeing to buy or sell that particular one, market price, right? So if the price above equilibrium, surplus should push down, yes. And if price is below equilibrium, it should shortage should push prices up. So that is the one true. So option C will be right answer for this particular one, right? Next one. So thus we have discussed now shortage and surplus. Next one. Equilibriums. Now, a city experience extreme rainfall and flooding, damaging wheat crops in nearby farming areas, so that there is a natural disaster. That means there will be less supply. As a result, cost of wheat will increase 100%, affecting the production of bread. So bread prices will also increase. Bakeries find it more expensive to purchase bread and reduce their supply. So meanwhile, the local government announced a financial aid programs increasing the disposable income of families in affected area. Okay, this lead to an increase in demand for essential good, including bread. So based on this scenario, what will be the likely happen in bread market? So the price of bread will increase due to both lower supply and higher demands. True. The price of bread will decrease. No, it will increase. The price of remain unchanged. No. The increase in demand will full compensate. No. Option A should be right answer for this one. Yes, in both the ways. Like there is a less supply, so we have limited items. Other side, the income effect. Government reduce the taxes or they increase the disposable income. That means reduce the taxes. So that means people will have more money. So they'll like less supply means the prices will go up. And other side, people have more buying capacity. That will also push the demand. So that's why option A is the right answer. I hope you guys are able to interpret these particular one. Which of the following statement accurately describe the concept of demand schedule? Very simple question for half marks. A demand schedule, when it comes to demand, so it is price increase, quantity decrease, or vice versa. A demand schedule refers to a table that shows the quantity of goods that consumer are willing to purchase at various price level. Demand schedule showcase relationship between price and supply of goods, it is supply schedule. Demand schedule, graphical representation of relationship between price and quantity demanded. So this fit best, we'll go for this one. ठीक है, यहाँ पे क्या था? A demand schedule refer to a table that shows the quantity of goods that consumers are willing to purchase at actually this is also correct again. A demand schedule is independent. No, so we'll check this one again. So a demand schedule essentially indicate how many units of goods and services a consumer is willing to purchase at various price level. Okay, so this is the one. Both are correct. Okay, there is no differences, I guess. A demand schedule is graphical representation of relationship between price and quantity demanded. Price increase, quantity demanded will decrease, and this both are correct, guys. Okay, there is no issue with both the statement. In economics, the supply curve illustrate the relationship between the quantity of goods that producer are willing to sell and its price. There are several factors that can affect the position and slope of the supply curve. For instance, a technological advancement that lower production cost will typically dash the supply curve. So it will what will happen in this case? It will move to the rightward, right? So they want supplier want to sell more because their profit margin will increase. Reverse cases, if government implement a regulation that make production more costly, so it will move to the leftward. So right and left shift leftward, no, upward, no. Option C will be right answer. Shift rightward and leftward, right? So rightward and leftward. Next one. Which of the following statement about demand schedule is incorrect? Incorrect statement. A demand schedule represents the relationship between price and quantity demanded. True. A downward movements along with the demand schedule represent increase, not decrease. Increase in demand, increase in demand. So this is wrong. This is wrong. So this will be right. Upward movements along with the demand schedules represent decrease. This is true. This is true. So B will be right answer for this particular one. Next one. Which of the following statement is correct about or in the context of forces behind the demand curve? Forces behind the demand curve. So they have given four statement and you have to find out the correct one. Okay. So demand curve shows the relationship between quantity of a goods and consumers are willing to buy it at prices. A change in price of goods itself cause a shift along with the demand curve. Factor other than price such as income or preferences cause shift in the demand curve. An increase in price of goods always lead to a shift in right of the demand curve. No, left up का होगा, ठीक है? If it is increase, so there will be less demand. So this is wrong. So 1, 2, 3. Do we have 1, 2, 3 here? No. That means there is one another statement which is wrong. A change in price of the goods itself cause a shift along with the demand curve. A demand factor other than price, such as income or preferences, cause shift in demand curve. It can be okay. Let's check this one. C. C means 1 and 3. Okay, we just want to check the second statement again. So second statement, a change in price of goods itself cause movement along with the demand curve. Not okay. It is about the demand curve, not a shift. This is known as change in quantity demanded. Sorry. Statement 4 was incorrect. Increase in price of goods does not cause shift in demand curve. Rather than it is up a movement in demand. Right. Rest two statements are correct. What does demand schedule represent? A relationship between supply? No. The quantity of a product consumers are willing to purchase at various price. Quantity of product producers are willing to sell. Okay. So option B will be right answer. Very simple one. Next one. Assertion is equilibrium of a supply and demand is a state in a market where the quantity of goods and services supply equal to the quantity of quantity demanded at a particular level. So this is 100% true when it comes to the equilibrium points. So this is your equilibrium points, okay, where seller have willingness and ability to sell, buyer have willingness and ability to buy. So state assertion is right. Equilibrium price, the price at which supply equal demands, is always static and does not change in response to shift in supply or demand. No, wrong. This is wrong, team. Why this is wrong? Because it changes with this. Later on, like the another equilibrium can be this. Like the another equilibrium can be this also. Okay, so it is not static, right? So A is true and B is our reason is false. So that means A only will be correct answer for this one. Correct? So A is true and this R is false. The equilibrium price is not static. It does change in response to shift in supply or demand. If demand increase with supply hold constant, the equilibrium price will rise. If supply increase, the equilibrium price will fall. So that means that a statement is wrong. Okay, so this is all about your law of demand and law of supply. I hope you guys get this particular thing clearly. Still, if you guys having any queries, so you can send me on WhatsApp, or you can ping me on, you can personally ping me on Telegram, or you can send in group also. Somebody will definitely address that particular one. All right. So we have to keep studying things on regular basis. Contribute small units. The like let's say if you are, you have to, you can study two ways. One is in a week you can study all the session happened during that particular period. Another one is you can go with the regular contribution. Every day I'm posting 2 to 3 videos for AFM, IEIFS and PPB. So if you'll follow on regular basis, that is the best. And then you'll have more, like I'll make sure that by the end of August we'll complete all the 4 subjects. So then I can come up with the practice portion. So we'll have unit wise practice with detailed explanation. Then we will practice. You can simultaneously also practice the unit wise questions or the module mock and all. So then we'll have live classes also for the revisions, module wise revision and all. Okay. So we have to score very good in our upcoming session. And these concepts will also help you in your upcoming examination called CAIIB. Not IEIFS and RBW, IEIFS, but that AFM, PPB, and that is definitely going to help you in your CAIIB examination also. Alright guys, so this is it from my side. Thank you for joining this session. Thank you for watching this session. I'll see you in our another session, unit number 14, which is all about money supply and inflation. So we'll be discussing that particular one also and practicing a lots of questions based on PYQs and expected questions so we can score well in our upcoming examination. So this is it. Bye bye. Take care all and all the very best for your preparation guys. Thank you.